Okay guys, before we get started with today's video, I did want to give you a quick channel update of things that you will see in the near future here on the Titan FPV channel. If you've been following my Racer X ET5 build, you know I was trying the peanut butter and jelly ethics props. I've been running these Racer Star 1507 2400 kV. I picked those up, I think a 5-pack on Banggood was about $45. The performance is all right. It will spin a 5-inch prop. I think these are 5.1 inch with, I believe, a 3-inch pitch on these peanut butter and jellies. It was pretty smooth, but there's not a whole lot of throttle resolution because the motor is tall and narrow versus one of the newer pancake style motors. So I've been scoping these Brother Hobby Avenger SEs out. They are on Brother Hobby's website, but that ships directly from China. I was waiting for a local retailer to get some in. I was able to pick these up. Race Day Quads has them. I'll post a link in the video description there. Like I said, these are the Brother Hobby Avenger 2004 3150 kV motors there. Now these are a T-mount, so that won't work with these peanut butter and jelly props, but the Gem Fan 5125s that I have, and I believe I have some HQ 5-inch T-mount props. Those will definitely bolt up. So it's going to be, like I said, a much wider motor, and I believe it's going to give me the performance that I was previously missing there. So if you're looking for a good budget-friendly motor here, I believe these are going to be $15.99 a piece versus I believe the original Brother Hobby 2004s, the VY edition there. They were around, I think it was $20.99 a piece, as well as the Beta FPV 2004 motors as well. And FPV Cycle, they do have a 2203, 2204 motor, which I was highly considering. It's available in T-mount as well as the 5-inch motor shaft, but those are priced a little bit more there. But you know, Bob's got some good stuff there, and he, when you purchase from him, it definitely goes back into the development of new tech here for our multi-rotors. So those are another one that I would definitely take a look at as well. So we're going to swap these out on the ET5, and I also picked up some of these Bi-Blade HQ 40mm props. I'm going to run them on my Mobula 7, the good old reliable Mobula 7. I recently did an update on this one as well. I believe I'm running 4.2.5, and I flashed RPM filtering. These are the Recon Heli Tri-Blade 40mm props. See if we can get a little bit more, a little bit longer flight time with these new HQ 40mm Bi-Blades. These are also available at RDQ, so check those out. These ship with the Mobilite 7, and that review will be coming to the channel as well. I've got one sponsored from Banggood, but it's still in shipping status, and I believe that's been a very popular quad. So it was supposed to ship at the beginning of this month, but it's been pushed out since. So look for that review as well. One more thing, I did pick up a Genk Multi-Rotors Nemesis Micro V2 frame. It's a 3-inch ultra lightweight X-style top mount battery frame, and they come highly recommended. There are a few people I know do fly these, and they have had good results. It's a really lightweight build. I do have a Sharkbite Whoop VTX, as well as another Foxair DigiSight that I'm going to build up with that. I think I'm going to use some Beta FPV 1404 3700 kV motors. I'm going to pair that. That should work out nicely there. I've got a CL Racing F7, the original board, the Whoop board that I will also include in the build. So look for that coming to the channel, guys. Make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you'll get updates on all these cool projects. Now let's get to the video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to do some mods to the Tinyhawk Freestyle 2. that should be able to greatly improve the performance as well as the flight times. The Freestyle 2 ships with a dual PH2 solid pin connector there. You run two batteries there for 2S configuration, two 1S packs. What we're going to do today is we're going to replace these 1S 450s connection there. You run two of these Emax 450 PH2 connector 1S packs at the same time for 2S. But what we're going to do today is we're going to swap that out. We're going to replace the dual PH2 connector with an XT30 connector. So we get less battery sag and more flight time. All right, first things first, we're going to remove the dual pin PH2 connector. All right, now that we have that PH2 connector set aside there, we'll save this for a Whoop there if we want to run something like 2S on a Mobula S, and we need to switch to solid pins because this is a solid pin connector there. All right, so what I like to do is go ahead and put the shrink tubing there on, but you want to push that away as far from the leads as you can. That way, in case the heat from the solder could go ahead and start to shrink those, and we're going to slide those up here in a minute. All right, you can definitely grab some blue tack. This is a good tool in the soldering process there. If you don't have helping hands, this is actually the Loctite version, but blue tack is the name brand there, and this will help you hold your part in place while you do the soldering. So I'll post a link in the video description. All right, you're going to take your flux pen. This is a Kester one. You can pick this up on Amazon. It's really handy there. Keeps from making a mess there. That's something I recommend also. Go ahead, you want to flux your XT30 as well as the ends of your leads there. Go ahead and grab your shrink tubing. We're going to cut that to length, and then we're going to put this on the wires and slide it out of the way so the heat from the soldering iron doesn't go ahead and shrink it. We'll use this later to go ahead and cover up the connections there to the XT30. Go ahead and slide it down to as far as you can go towards the flight controller, and we'll slide these back up here in a minute once the connection is complete. Some flux. Let's go ahead and pretend the wires. And we will pretend the XT30. This is the part where you want to make sure that you're connecting the right polarity there. So as you see, we've got a plus for positive, that's going to be the red wire. Negative is going to be the black wire. Get it nice and hot so it will flow. And you want to get in and get out real quick. We got a nice shiny joint. It looks like the negative looks good as well. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pull up the string tubing. Now, this may not butt up the connection completely initially. What I like to do is take this mini heat gun and go ahead and warm up the connection slightly. That'll cause it to shrink. You can slide these up and then finish the process. I'll post the link for this in the video description. All right, looks like we're good. The final test is to go ahead and plug in a LiPo and see how she goes. You don't want to go over 2S. This board is rated for 2S. I have seen people fly this Tinyhawk on 3S, but I wouldn't recommend it there. The motor kV is fine at 7,000 kV, but I don't believe the board can take the stress over time. So we're going to go with a 2S. Let's plug the LiPo in. And looks like we're good. Our second modification is we're going to upgrade the ESC firmware through BL Heli Configurator. We're going to update it to the latest 16.71 official beta that supports RPM filtering. Make sure you have your props off. Plug the drone into USB while connecting the LiPo. Alright, as you see, we're running 16.71, which is not compatible. Note your ESC model firmware, and we're going to go ahead and click on Flash All. It's the correct target there, and you're going to select 16.71 official beta. Go ahead and hit Flash, and it's going to flash each ESC. Alright, once you've confirmed that that's successful, we can go ahead and close out of BL Heli Configurator. You can also set the motor timing in medium high if you'd like. I did not in this case. Next step is to open up Betaflight Configurator. We're going to verify that we have ESC firmware 4.1, which is compatible. They started adding compatibility after 4.0. You're going to select the configuration tab. We're going to change our ESC protocol from DShot 600 to 300 because we are running an F4 processor. We're going to go ahead and enable bidirectional DShot. We're going to verify the motor pulse is correct, which in this case it is 12. If you're running a full-size motor, one of the larger non-micro motors, it's generally going to be 14 motor pulse. Go ahead and hit save and reboot. We're going to open up the Motors tab. Make sure your prompts are off for this step. We're going to grab a LiPo and plug the LiPo in. As you see, there's 0% errors. That means it is reading the ESC firmware correctly to where we can enable the RPM filtering. We're going to go back to the configuration tab, and then we need to enable the 4K pit loop. We are running F4, so that's what's recommended there. Go ahead and hit save and reboot again. Last step, we're going to open up the pits tab. Click on the filter settings. Looks like it's set at 1.3. That's going to be fine for what we're doing. Go ahead and exit the configurator. Okay, we're back after a few flights there, and as you can tell, it was a success there. So it will give you an option to use a hobby grade charger besides the tiny USB charger that comes in the package there with the Tinyhawk. So something like this Talon 552S or this Tattoo 452S. These are both good sized batteries. Race Day Quads makes a 525 as well. That's going to be a good size for this size quad. Definitely noticed there was much less battery sag. And while the flight time didn't appear that it was much better than before running the two 1S packs, I can tell you that the voltage that I did land at, which was around 3.5 under a load, the voltage did pop back up to about 3.6 to 3.7 volts, whereas before the battery was sagging below around 3 volts, and we're coming in at probably about 3.4, 3.5 volts. So I would expect to get 30 seconds to a minute more flight time for a similar capacity LiPo. But the quad is still flying smoothly there. I did keep the stock tune. I thought about updating to Betaflight 4.2.6, but this one ships, or mine shipped anyway, with 4.1. So you can enable RPM filtering there on that firmware. I didn't see a need to go ahead and upgrade to the latest and greatest because the tune that the Emacs team pilots have given this quad is pretty locked in there. I just added my own rates there. Another thing to consider is if you are thinking about upgrading the firmware to 4.6 on this quad, the motors have been remapped there for this specific quad. I believe this quad shares a flight controller stack with the Tinyhawk 2 as well as the Tinyhawk 2 Race Edition there. So I believe the original board configuration is set up for the Tinyhawk 2, but they are identical boards there, just with the VTX antenna mounted a little bit differently and the board orientation there. So that's something to consider. If it were me, I would just leave it on 4.1. It flies great. I hope this video was informative for you guys. I want to thank you again for tuning in. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. Click that notification bell, give it a thumbs up, share it if you like, leave a comment. I'll get back with you as soon as I can.